Good day, doodlers, welcome to Draw Cartoons. If you want to learn how to draw the fast and easy way, this is the place to be. I'm going to show you two ways to draw a gingerbread house today. I'm going to start with a simpler, easier version, and for those of you who want a little more challenge, I'll be doing a 3D one like the one in the thumbnail of this video, so make sure you watch the whole thing to learn something new. As always, you'll need a pencil, paper, an eraser, and a Sharpie to go over your sketch. Let's go! Let's get started. But first, if you want to learn to draw the fast and easy way, make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring that bell. Let's begin. So there are many ways to draw a really cool looking gingerbread house. I'm going to start with a really simple, straightforward way, and then I'm going to show you some more complicated ways that add a bit more character to your drawing right after that. So I'm going to start with a really simple beginning. So what I like to do is I like to draw a nice big box. I like to draw it a little bit wider than it is tall, just a little bit. Don't make it really wide, unless you really want to. But if you're following along with this guide, you might want to kind of keep it to this kind of size here, almost like a 4x3 screen back in the old days. And then when you've done that, draw a line up the middle and then go over, like go through that top bit of the square, the rectangle, until you get to about here. This is going to be how tall your roof is. And I mean, if you really want to, you could have your roof end all the way up here, or you know, as low down as here. It's up to you, but I like to kind of go for more or less, if you take like half of this height here, more or less that kind of height going on up there. A rough estimation. And when you get that far, you want to add a triangle that sticks out the ends a bit here and then goes up to meet that point that we drew a moment ago. So I'll just show you that again. It goes out a little bit, and then that point meets with that edge there, and we end up with a triangle that's just a little bit wider here at the sides than the rectangle that it's sitting on. And that's your kind of bare bones of your house already done, so now you can go crazy decorating it. So here's a few things that I like to do with mine. I like to start by drawing the icing along the top of the roof here, and you want to make this nice and bumpy and wavy so it looks like the icing was very runny when it was put on the roof of the building. So if you just make it wavy so it goes up and down like this, just kind of like it's dripping down, there we go. And then we'll add a bit more to the top as well, and notice how I'm making it a lot more smooth along the top because it just kind of looks better that way. If you make it wiggly on both sides, it kind of looks like it's just like a big blob of gel, and that's not what we're going for here. We want the snow to look like it's nice and flat at the top and just kind of hanging down over the front of the roof here. What you can do as well is add a bit of icing along this guideline here, again doing that same trick where you make it a bit wiggly, do the occasional bit that's just kind of looking like it's dripping downwards. There we go. Maybe make the top bit a little bit more straight but also a little bit wavy. And again, this is a very common feature of gingerbread houses because you have to kind of stack the pieces of gingerbread on, and the icing can very much help to hold it in place. So now for decorations, you can pretty much add anything you like. I'm going to add a small kind of lifesaver sort of sweet here, give it a bit of a swirl. Okay, just a circle with little swirls coming around like that. When I colour that in, I'm going to make it red and white, I think. Colour is really important on gingerbread houses, by the way, so you definitely want to keep that in mind. I'm going to add some small circles along here, one in the middle there. I'm going to try and make it even, so there's 4 on each side and then 1 in the middle. Okay, and now to add a door. So I think what would be really cute for a door would be to have this kind of candy cane thing going on. So I'm going to draw a line up to here and then over through that kind of middle guideline there, over through that, and then end here and bring it back, just kind of trace the shape that I drew a moment ago. Well, that's not a door. We kind of finished here, didn't we? Well, what I'm going for here is I'm going to go for 2 candy canes just kind of crossed over. So I'm going to draw another candy cane sitting underneath this, and I'm just going to show the end of it kind of poking out there. So we get this kind of, there's the end of one candy cane, and there's the other one. And now to draw the detail of the actual door, I mean, again, you can kind of do whatever you like. You could add a wreath. So to add a small wreath here, I'm just going to draw a circle with 2 triangles sticking out either side of the circle, kind of pointing at it. 2 kind of play symbols, really. And then I'm going to draw a circle, or like a donut shape that just kind of hangs down like this, so that that bow shape is at the top of the wreath. And if you want, you can add a few wiggles to it so it looks like there's some leaves coming off this wreath. There we go. And for a bit more detail, well, why not add a little bit more icing just kind of along the side there, make it nice and wiggly There we go. Now to make sure this definitely looks like a candy cane, I'm going to have to add some stripes here. So I'm just going to draw some stripes curving along. Try and follow the shape of the candy cane as you go around. That's quite tricky, but you can do it. If you've been following this channel, you can definitely do it. So there we go, a few more stripes, just kind of definitely showing off that kind of candy cane shape there. Without the stripes, it doesn't really look like a pair of candy canes. Now I'm going to add another stripe of icing just along here. Again, I'm going to make it a bit more smooth along the top and then just sort of wiggly at the bottom, and it just kind of gives that impression that the icing has been used to, I guess, glue those pieces of gingerbread together. Okay, there we go, and at bonus points if it sticks out the end just a little bit like that. Better exaggerate that a bit on that side as well. And now for the windows. Again, you can just kind of go nuts with whatever you like. I mean, for example, you don't have to draw this if you don't want. I'm going to erase it. But I've seen people do this for a window where they just draw 3 circles, and then those circles are actually pieces of candy. They're just little sweets. So they're positioned in this kind of like formation where there's 4 together like this. And that kind of looks like a window straight away, because if you think about it, this is the sweets of the glass, and this kind of looks like the cross shape in the middle. So that's one way of doing windows. I'm not going to do that on mine, just wanted to show you that real quick. What you could do is pretty much just draw an actual window. So you could draw a small sill down here, and then draw this big kind of, almost like a semicircle that's been stretched out shape along the top here. And then inside, you could add, well, you could add pretty much anything you like. You could add a small ribbon, or you could add a couple of, maybe 3 little blobs of icing there, just to kind of decorate it. You can kind of go nuts here. So that's one window. On this side, I'm going to draw maybe more of a boxy window. It doesn't have to be even. It probably looks better if both windows look exactly the same as each other, but I'm not going to go for that with this particular drawing. So again, I'm going to add a small sill at the bottom, a small window sill at the bottom, and then maybe I'm going to just draw a big piece of candy in the middle, give it that swirly pattern. Again, I really like that kind of swirly pattern for gingerbread houses. And maybe this box here is actually just more icing as well, so the whole thing is just kind of like an icing outline. Icing can be used pretty much with excess on gingerbread houses, so you can go kind of crazy with that. So I'm going to add a few more decorations here, a couple of chocolate buttons or something just kind of sitting here. The great thing about a gingerbread house is that it's really hard to overdo the decorations. So I'm going to add a few more little circles here. I don't really know what these are, maybe they're really just tiny pieces of candy. You can kind of go nuts, and it's really hard to overdo the decoration because gingerbread houses are very elaborate. Something else you can do, you can add a few buttons here, maybe licorice pieces, just kind of sitting along the bottom there, just to kind of frame your house a bit. And if you like, you can add a small chimney. And to do that, you just draw this kind of small boxy shape here. It just sits along your roof. I like to add a bit more icing along the top. I'm a little bit biased because I do really like icing. There we go. And then maybe a small row of buttons just kind of going around that and hiding behind the roof just there. So that is a pretty basic way to begin a drawing of a gingerbread house. You just start with this box here and then a triangle sitting on top of it, and you kind of go crazy with all those decorations. And I'm going to show you a bit more elaborate way to draw a gingerbread house right now. So for those of you feeling a little bit more daring, I'm going to draw a 3D gingerbread house in this one. So I'm going to start with a straight line that goes up, and then parts of the roof over here, diagonal line that goes up like that, and comes back down to about here. Then I'm going to draw, notice how this starts way higher than this ends here. I'm going to come down to about here, and then I'm just going to make sure that all kind of matches up. So you get this kind of weird askew shape. I mean, really, a straight line would be more like this. But that's not what we're going for here. This is going to be a 3D shape. So carrying on from this roof, we're going to draw a line that goes along here a bit, and then comes up, and joins up with the very, very peak of our roof here. And then finally, the back of the house, which comes down here, and matches up there. Now, drawing 3D shapes is not easy, but it's definitely something that comes with a bit of practice. Just try and follow how I did it as best you can, and try and get this line, for example, to be exactly the same kind of angle as this line, and that'll take you a lot of the way there. So once you got this 3D shape down, again, it's pretty much just a case of decorating it. But before we go that far, I think it's cool to add a bit of character to our drawing. So right now, we've just got a bunch of straight lines, like they're really, really perfectly straight. what if we bend them a little bit? We get really, really cartoony. This is draw cartoons. We want to get really, really kind of cartoony with this. So I'm actually going to take this line. I'm actually going to bend it over here, curve it, and then bend it back out. I'm going to do the same on this side. Just add a bit of a curve to it. It's super unrealistic. It looks really silly, but that's cartoons for you. And again, with this line, I'm going to make this all bendy and really kind of bring it up to a peak here in the middle, go up and over, and then bend it out like that. So what I'm doing, I'm actually ignoring this now. This guideline was purely to kind of give me an idea of where I should draw things in a 3D space, and then once I know that, I can just kind of go crazy with the shapes and see how that still looks 3D. If I'd have tried to draw this straight away, it might not have looked right. Whereas this 3D shape acts as kind of like a guide. Let me just bring this down a little bit. Acts as like a guide for how to draw the really, really silly shapes that I'm going for here. So I'm going to make this a bit bendy in the top here, like that. There we go. This I'm going to give a bit of a curve outwards as it comes to this part of the roof here. And then here, I'm going to give this the same kind of curve I gave the rest of the house. So just going to kind of curve that in there. No need to make that too bendy. And then we get this crazy kind of bendy shape. And then we can decorate this pretty much the same way that we decorated our first house. Obviously there's a bit more to do here, so I'm going to add a bit of icing, just kind of following along the top here, following the spine of the roof to the back there, a bit along here as well. Anywhere where you think that the icing should gather, a bit of snow should kind of gather on this. Okay, now don't worry if you're having a bit of trouble with this. This is definitely more advanced than a lot of my tutorials, because this is kind of jumping a few steps and going straight into 3D drawing. But for those of you wanting a challenge, this is definitely going to be a lot of fun for you. So I'm just kind of using the guidelines to pick out where the icing should go. And there we go. I'm just erasing for the sake of clarity here, but we end up with this kind of like, this is all icing and this is all gingerbread here. So again, you can just kind of go crazy with this. We can add some buttons along the side of this roof here. I'm going to do them in a kind of crisscross pattern. And then once I've done that, I can maybe like match them up with bits of icing like this. So they almost look like roof tiles. So like I said, this is a little bit elaborate, but if you really, really want to impress someone with a cool 3D drawing of a gingerbread house, this is a great place to start. This is all icing, going through these little buttons, whatever these are. Maybe a nice little icing heart here on the front of the house. Okay, just draw it twice so it looks nice and thick. Along the bottom here, we're going to have some gumdrops. Okay, and I'm kind of drawing them in small triangles that just kind of sit in front of each other. I'm going to finish there and just draw the bottom of each of those gumdrops along the side there. Just draw one kind of peeking out this side as well to kind of give the impression that there's some going along here as well that we can't really see from where we are. Now for a door, this time I'm not going to go for candy canes, just going to go for a good old-fashioned icing door. Just keep things simple here, but also nice and wiggly to match the funny kind of shape of the house, because we went for a nice bendy kind of gingerbread for this one, so we may as well go all the way and be very creative with it. So nice kind of swirly sweet there for the doorknob, I guess, for the handle of the door, and a small window here also made of icing. So I'm just going to do that kind of the 4 panes of glass, and you get this kind of cross shape in the middle. And maybe we're going to add a few more buttons that kind of go around this. So up and over. There we go. Don't mind, it doesn't matter if there's a little bit of crossover there. It really doesn't matter. If anything, it just kind of helps give it a bit of character. So if you make a mistake, well, it just makes it cuter. Okay, a couple more swirly sweets there. Maybe one up here. I'm going to add a few more small dots of icing down the sides. And maybe a window here to finish off. And notice I'm following the shape of the 3D shape of the house as I go. I'm not drawing perfectly kind of straight shapes anymore. I'm just kind of keeping in mind the shape of this 3D house as I draw in my shapes, if that makes any sense at all. But I'm just saying, if you want to draw the door here, notice how this all follows the floor of the house, and so does this. This kind of follows that same kind of perspective. So This one in particular is not the easiest way to draw a gingerbread house, but maybe you agree that it definitely looks a lot better. So yeah, I'm going to color this in now. You should go over your drawing if you did this one or the one before, it doesn't really matter. Go over it with a Sharpie and get some watercolors out or some crayons or whatever you like to color with, and you'll end up with your very own really nice festive drawing of a gingerbread house just in time for Christmas. Wow, a splash of colour does a world of good. Look at that! Vibrant, adorable, and delicious. Is there anything quite as festive as a gingerbread house? And how did you decide to decorate your gingerbread house? I'd love to see any drawings that you've done over on the Draw Cartoons Discord. You can share any drawings and any tips and any video ideas whenever you want, and absolutely everyone is welcome. Just scroll on down, hit the Discord link, and if you need to, make a Discord account. They're free and they are quick to make. And that's it. Welcome to the Discord Doodlers. Thanks again for watching. Make sure you drop me a like and subscribe if you want to keep learning to draw the fast and easy way. Until next time.